Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wager Wise MMA podcast. Ryan, we're slightly under the weather today. We're both slightly under the weather.
Sure.
How are you feeling? And what do you think about this card before we get into it?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Just coming off a night shift and just coming off a few days of sickness.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in the tail end of it. You sound like you're in like you're on the way there.
Yeah, I'm in the mid part.
But yeah, I think this is a tougher card. Like there's a lot of closely lined fights. Some fights that are just like almost unplayable, like from a money line basis. But yeah, I think I had a look at the prop markets last night, and there's some stuff that I like, but overall very tough.
Yeah, I think this is a tricky betting card as well. It's either, massive favourites or pretty split fights. So, yeah, I think it'll either be quite profitable or quite not profitable, to be honest. I don't think there'll be a middle ground. So we'll see where we end up. Luke Matheson, let's go money, Moicano. I'm betting on Duncan. Yeah, it feels a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Last week we had a good card as well. I don't want to go too in depth on that, but I do want to say that was probably one of the better cards of the year. Not hard to compete with what they're throwing out at the moment, but that was definitely a top 2 card of the year. Again, not hard, but hopefully we can continue that here. What do you say we just get straight into this one?
Yeah, let's do it. By the way, Adrian Yanez robbed.
Yeah,
Absolutely robbed.
yeah, that was a bit of a stinker. Yeah, I didn't have a bet on that, so I didn't feel too bad, but I did feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Okay, kicking off the card. Now, this one's just been added. I think it was last night. Kai Kamaka coming back into the UFC, taking on Dakota Hope. I haven't done tape on this one. Prices is minus 155 for Kai Kamaka. The comeback on Dakota Hope's plus 135. I wasn't a big fan of Kai Kamaka in his first run in the UFC. I think he's kind of like mid, to be honest. Like he's fine. He's just, I don't think he's very good. So I can't really see him having a great successful run in his second tenure here, but he'll probably beat some lower level guys. I know nothing about this Dakota Hope, and I haven't done any tape, as I said, so can't have any strong convictions here. You got anything to add here?
Yeah, not really. I know Dakota Hope is from that 4 ounce fight team, but he's more of the grappling side. I've not looked at any tape other than just seeing that he's from that team. As for Kai Kamaka, like, he seems like a guy you kind of want to back as a underdog. He's sort of like I don't
He
know, like
reminds me of Puna.
a bit of Puna, a bit of Brad Tavares.
Yeah, they're both
Um,
Hawaiian, so just
for one, so there we go. Yeah, he fights to close margins, and yeah, he's typically a guy you want to be. If you were to back him, you back him as a dog, as a minus 150. Not worth the bet there. Happily to just stay away from this one.
yeah, let's keep it moving up the card. We've got women's flyweight. We've got Dione Barbosa taking on Melissa Gatto. Now, Melissa Gatto, not a bad fighter, but we just see her so infrequently at this point. It's really hard to get a good read on her. Prices, we've got, this is one of the close ones on the card. It's minus 120, minus 125 to 130 for Dione. The comeback on Melissa Gatto is about plus 110. So, it's pretty close. Dione Barbosa, slight favorite. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this is one of the closely lined fights that I actually have a bet on. Melissa Gatto, like I actually don't mind her. She's 3-2 in the UFC. Her last fight was a win against Tamirez Vidal, which was via boob punch
Mm.
in 2024. So she's been very inactive, like 3 fights since 2022. Her striking is pretty serviceable. Like she skirts around the outside, like skirts around the cage, throwing plenty of leg kicks and body kicks, lunges in with the same overextended 1-2 every time. Sometimes she changes it to like a rear hand and then left hook. Um, but she mostly just gets her punches in and then gets back to distance. She doesn't like staying in the pocket. She is a bit of an opportunistic grappler. Like once she's clinched up, she'll look for that judo throw. She is a jiu-jitsu black belt, like very strong on top, looks to work to mount and set up for a sub. Dione Barbosa, she's 2-2 in the UFC, coming off a controversial loss to Karine Silva. I had Dione Barbosa there at plus 160. I thought she should have won that fight. She's an Olympic level judoka and jiu-jitsu black belt herself. She's very physical and strong. As for striking, I think her I think her striking is pretty underrated. Like she's pretty measured. She's got good fundamentals. Applies a lot of pressure. Works behind a sharp jab. Like she puts out a lot of feints. She's quick on her feet. She moves ahead, and she punches with authority and power. With her takedowns, she's got great timing with her takedowns from distance, and especially with her judo throws from the clinch. Once she's on top, she's got heavy top pressure. Definitely a position over submission kind of girl, which I like to see. And if she ends up on the bottom, she can scramble if needed. And she's good with her get ups, as we saw against Karine Silva. I'm on the Dione Barbosa side here. I played her at minus 140. Like it's going to be closely contested on the feet, but for the most part, Gatto is too often on the back foot, and her success will mostly be leg kicks and catching Barbosa coming in with her jab. And sometimes when she lunges in with her overextended one too, but Barbosa definitely has the better optics coming forward, like landing her jab, landing her combos. Especially when she starts extending her combos in a pocket that kind of forces Gatto backwards, and just overall land with more impact. Gatto does have good grappling, but she finds her best success against girls who aren't known for their grappling. Like when you put her in front of a good grappler, like she often gets outworked, as you saw with her fight against Cortez. And Dione does like she has struggled in the past with strong grapplers like Maverick and Karine Silva, but like Gatto is not to that level. And overall, I just feel that Barbosa does everything Gatto does, but better and with more strength and physicality. I don't see Gatto stuffing too many of Barbosa's takedowns often enough or outmuscling her in the clinch. And once Barbosa's on top, I think she stays on her back. While if Gatto gets on top, I trust Barbosa to like at least make her way to her feet or be able to scramble. As the fight gets extended, like Barbosa does tend to slow down, but I feel like Gatto does as well, and Gatto doesn't really push a hard pace. Like if it becomes a messy fight in round three, I think Barbosa can land a takedown while they're both tied and face like little resistance. So yeah, closely lined fight. It will play out sort of close, but yeah, I do have a bit of conviction on Dione Barbosa here.
Yeah, I think Barboza kind of has to be the side here. Probably probably purely down to the wrestling. I think I think the striking on the feet is kind of competitive. And like to be fair, when you go back and you watch, some of Gardo's older tape, back in 2021 and 2022, she has like finished a few girls on the feet, like mainly to the body and with kicking and with her kicking game. Obviously, the tip punch was the most recent one, but a couple of years before that, she did beat I think it was Victoria Leonardo with that broken arm with the kick, and I think there was even Sajara Eubanks before that finished her to the body. So, like on the feet, she's clearly got some power, and I think it's competitive. I think Barbo's is good enough to compete for most of the time. Like I think the price feels pretty fair there. The issue is I think Gatto's going to be comfortable going to her back when Barboza tries to wrestle, and I think she will try to wrestle. So in my mind, she's going to be on her back, probably losing minutes and looking for a sub. Could she get it? Yeah, maybe she's kind of crafty off her back, but I think Barboza is probably good enough to survive and win minutes on top. So to be honest, the price feels pretty bang on. I think the bookies have nailed this one. If I was to have a bet, it would probably be on Barboza. But yeah, I don't have a ton of conviction on this particular one. Like I said, I think the books have done pretty well here, so I'm not rushing to get involved in what seems like a fairly close fight with Barboza edging it. So yeah, Dione Barboza would be the pick for me as well. Up the card, two men's middleweight. We got Azamat Bakoyev taking on Trey Sean Gore. Let me just get some prices here. Prices, we've got Bakoyev minus 650. The comeback on Trey Sean Gore plus 475. So Azamat Bakoyev, huge favorite here. I think it's. I think the price feels wide. Like I think it does feel wide. Look, I think Bakoyev has huge upside early. To probably finish this. Like Trey Sean Gore is pretty hittable, but he's kind of showed times where he can take punches and hang in there. But when I went back and I watched that Rodolfo Vieira fight, the way that Vieira pieced him up on the feet, and Vieira's not a good striker. Like he's got a pretty functional jab. He dominated Gore on the feet, which I just I can't believe in hindsight. And Bakoyev, he's not a traditionally like technical or functional striker. I'd say he looks for the finish and likes his looping shots a little bit too much to be classified as that. But He's got power early. He's got a lot of conviction in his game. He'll go forward. He will, chance things, and he will go forward, and he'll try and win fights. And I think Trayshawn Gore might let him get that off early. The question for me would be if this one goes late, like, into 2 and 3, it's probably competitive, and I do think it's wide, but I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure it does get there. I think Bakoyev probably has grappling and wrestling upside. Like, he'll be able to push forward, get in the clinch, and probably, be the offensive fighter and the advancing fighter. But it's like, do you want to back Trayshawn Gore? The guy's 5-4. He's not that good overall. He's got a low ceiling, in my opinion. I just think that, in terms of like when you compare it to the Usry matchup, Usry's massive, can fight for 15 minutes, has, decent enough takedown defense, and is a pretty polished striker. Does Trayshawn Gore have a couple of those, assets? I would say, yeah. I'd say he might be able to negate some of the wrestling. He's got, decent power in his hands, so maybe late he has some upside, but I think early it's all Bakoyev. So if I was to get on Trayshawn Gore, I'd probably just do it after round one or round, somewhere after round one, 5 minutes, because I do think Bakoyev should look the side pretty early. So, yeah, I think Bakoyev should win and probably finishes Trayshawn Gore here. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I agree. The money line price is definitely a bit wide. Thing with Gore is like he's just all physicality but no process. Like he just comes forward, like stalks opponents, waits for openings, and he just throws bombs. But on the other side of that, like he could land, he could knock you out, and he could like snatch a neck if he finds it. But he's got really poor defense. He absorbs more shots than he lands. His takedowns are hard to stop due to his explosiveness and physicality, but I feel like he just lacks IQ. And on top of him like lacking IQ and not really having a good game plan, like he's pretty chinny himself. Though, like sometimes he can take punishment, but
Weird, hey?
yeah, he's one of those fighters where sometimes he'll just go down, or sometimes he'll just randomly
Just
like
comes out as like Max Holloway and just takes
Max
shots.
Holloway.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. Azamat Bakoyev, coming off that round 3 knockout loss to Usry, we saw how just this past weekend how good Usry can be and like how physical he is. Bakoyev, he's got heavy hands, strikes with reckless abandon, loads up and swings wide hooks and loopy shots. He himself is pretty hittable, but he just walks through shots to land his own. Excellent with his takedowns, top control, and ground and pound, and he's very physical and explosive. I think Bakoyev is going to get a bounce back win here. Like after having a nightmare matchup against Usry, I think he's going to have a bit of an easier time. Like I think he gets it done early, lands something that hurts Gore or forces Gore to shoot like a panic takedown, or just force him to just make a dumb decision to escape from danger, and then I think he's going to get finished on the ground, like with Bakoyev stuck on top of him. So, yeah, I played Bakoyev by knockout. I got that at plus 140. Just played it for a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got plenty of wins by knockout. Does have plenty of subs as well, but yeah, I tend to think Bakoyev is just going to get him out of there early with ground and pound.
Yeah, I think that's what I was looking at as well. It's either that by TKO, or I think under 1.5 at plus 150. I think either that is wrong or his money line's
That has to
wrong.
be wrong. Yeah,
I think one of those prices have to be wrong. Maybe it's the money line, it's just too juice, but plus 150, it seems like that's his, if he looks minus 650, that's how he wins. It's early by TKO. So I think both of those feel like pretty good options to bet if you like the Bakoyev side. So in agreement there.
yeah, for
Let's
sure.
keep
And Trayshawn Gore seems to be coming like in the fittest he's ever looked, and having cut out a lot of bad habits in camp, which historically sometimes that backfires.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I'm just
Definitely
waiting
agree.
for him to say in an interview that he's gone sober.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come out. Up to women's bantamweight here, we've got Alice Pereira taking on Hayley Cowan. Not any relation to Alex Pereira, although that was like the main talking point coming into the last fight with Alice Pereira. Again, another close one here. Alice Pereira minus 130. The comeback on Hayley Cowan's plus 110. We know Hayley Cowan's husband's into some weird shit.
Ooh, the
So
husband?
it's Hayley Cowan's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly some. Anyway, you could probably go Google that stuff yourself. I don't want to get
Oh,
myself into trouble, but
all right, all right.
some mucking around with young people who probably shouldn't be mucked around with. So
Oh, no way.
yeah, not sure if she's still with him or anything like that. But yeah, big talking point there. But
Hmm.
how do you feel about this one? Because I kind of think Hayley Cowan has potential to just make this fucking really ugly
Yeah,
and just cage clinch.
yeah, I came into this thinking I was going to get to a Haley Cowan play, and yeah, this is a closely lined fight for good reason. Like both aren't that good. It could be a matter of Haley Cowan at age 34 never being good, and Alice Pereira at age 20 not being good just yet. Like maybe Cowan is like good enough, like Rendon was, to make it close and edge out a decision. That's how I was thinking about it. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I went to I watched a little bit of whatever tape that we could have on Alice Pereira, and I just wasn't like. There's clearly potential there, but she's only fought and looked good against low level opponents. Once she fought someone who wanted to compete, she didn't look great against Montserrat Rendon, and she's
And
got a
she
long way to
sucked.
go. Yeah, very green, one dimensional, and yeah, right now she just sucks. Haley Cowan, she's a regional MMA vet. I remember her like making her way through LFA, and she had a bit of hype, like or sort of like she had some good finishes. But she's 0-2 in the UFC with losses to Nora Connell and Jamie Lynn Horth. Yeah, she's just not that good. Like I tried to watch some tape on her, and I just wasn't too interested.
Mm.
She stands out of a southpaw stance, pressures forward, time spots to lunge in with her rehand and land fast combos. Looks to set up high kicks. She does mix in takedowns here and there when she backs opponents up against the fence, but she's way too hittable and doesn't fight well on the back foot. Um, and seeing as she competed only once in the last 2 years and she hasn't shown like any improvement, I don't expect her to come into this one suddenly like looking incredible. So I just tend to think the younger physical and athletic fighter in Pereira should show enough improvements, though I'm just not so high on that. Nonetheless, this is a fight I want to steer way far from, especially at these numbers. I think Pereira will probably win by split decision, but wouldn't be like you said, wouldn't be surprised if Haley Cohen just makes this an ugly fight that just goes to decision and ends up being a close one.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to think like, Cowan, as you said, she's 0-2, but like Cornell and who was the other one that you said, sorry?
Jamie Lynn Horth, they're
Yeah,
tough.
they're both girls that I think are pretty physical for this division. Like they're big, they're physical. They can do like if they versed Alice Pereira, I think they'd both have their way with her as well, of pure physicality and just being more gritty. So I think that's not a bad lead up to this fight for Hayley Cowan. The issue is it's like, is she just going to be like a value loser in every spot where it's kind of close and competitive, but she just can't do enough to edge it? And maybe that is the case, but I don't know. I don't love what I see from Alice Pereira. She's like a fine striker, but she's not good. No wrestling, no grappling. Losing to Montserrat Rendon. I didn't mean Alice Pereira sucked. I meant Montserrat Rendon sucks.
Yeah.
And to lose to her is like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy work. So, yeah, I think Hayley Cowan plus 110. I think that's absolutely fine if you played that, to be honest. I think she can make this, she could look hindsight slight fave potential. I think that's not a bad play. I'm not rushing to play because I don't really trust either of these girls, but she's got a definite path to victory off the cage clinch and the wrestling. So I think there's an angle there. I think it's a hold your nose and probably bet kind of spot, but yeah, I'm not rushing to play Hayley Cowan at this point.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
keep it.
I wanted to get to it. Like, it seems like a spot that like I would usually get to, but
Yeah.
yeah, just the tape is not pretty.
Tracy Ledger 2237 says, I'm feeling another Fernandez and O'Neill kind of finish. Gatto is O'Neill and Barboza is Fernandez, just saying. So you
Fair.
think so you think Gatto can finish Barboza? Interesting, interesting. You'd probably get some good odds on that one.
Yeah.
I'm actually still surprised that Casey O'Neill finished that fight. Like
I was
I,
shocked,
I can't
completely
believe
shocked.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe she's on some good vitamins or something. She come out there look like fucking prime Mike Tyson, mate, just boxing her up against the cage. I never seen anything like it.
Mate, I can't believe we had two women's fights that last weekend that went like just barely around.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. All
Yeah,
right, let's go up the card here. We have Leno Venata returning.
I miss this guy.
Man, he's fun. He's fun. They got a lightweight bout here. Lando Venata, Groovy taking on Darius Flowers. I think Darius Flowers, if I'm correct, was cut from the UFC and now he's back.
Hmm.
So I don't know. And obviously Lando Venata, like potentially retired, like doesn't fight super frequently. So yeah, it's a pretty weird fight. Minus 210 is the price on Lando. The comeback on Darius Flowers plus 180. I just, how do you play Darius Flowers at this point? Like the guy's just not good anywhere. He's got the Gracie Barra tattoo in the middle of his chest, but he doesn't have grappling. Like I don't know. I don't understand this guy. Leno Venado in his prime would absolutely dust Darius Flowers. Like he's striking. Groovy is a great name for it because it's very smooth. It's
Yeah.
very, um, yeah, it's just like very smooth and technical. He's happy to counter. He's happy to move in, come back, and then return shots. Like the way he strikes is very fun. I'd say he's probably had an issue with like wrestling defense and some submission defense sometimes. Like we've seen him get put into bad positions by Charles Jourdain, who admittedly has a very good guillotine, but you just can't afford to put yourself in a spot like that. Um, if yeah, like I said, if this was a couple of years ago, I'd be all over Leno Venata. I think he would box his head off. I think he'd stay on the outside and just dominate this fight on the feet. The issue is he's a bit older. He doesn't fight super frequently at this point, and he's minus 210. So again, this is a fight where I don't really know how you can have like a whole lot of conviction on a betting line. I think Leno Venata has to be the side. He's clearly the better fighter, and Darius Flowers just kind of sucks all around. Now he has to make another big cut down to 155 where we've seen him struggle before. So yeah, I don't love this for Darius Flowers. I think he's probably going to look bad physically. If he makes the weight, this might get cancelled before the fight. Like who knows? So yeah, I think the side has to be Leno Venata. It's a big price tag for sure, but he's just a better fighter, and as long as he can negate some grappling from the Gracie Barra fucking legend Darius Flowers, he should win this one. Whether it's a late knockout or I could see him hurting Flowers to the body, around 2 or 3, but probably a decision. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, if this was a few years ago, it's an easy like at this number, it's an easy Venata
Mm.
spot for me. I really like this guy. He's had an underwhelming career given the talent he possesses and his initial trajectory, especially after that short notice debut against Tony Ferguson. Like he looked amazing in that fight. Um, yeah, he's a crafty striker, strikes with supreme confidence and throws a lot of flashy techniques, carries good power. He does leave his hands down and gets hit a lot and gets kind of lazy with his defense. Like he tends to also like wait for his openings, which sometimes sees him losing minutes on the clock. I do like it when he mixes in his wrestling at times, but he has lost fights through his grappling deficiencies. And here he's again like Darius Flowers. Like, what's there to say about him? 0-3 in the UFC, coming off a submission loss to Evan Elder, which Evan Elder is not a bad loss. But yeah, Darius Flowers is just doesn't really show me much. Like he's really a boxer that like he stands out of an orthodox stance. He's I guess he has power, seeing as he has 8 knockouts. But like he stands upright, comes forward, spamming leg kicks and teeps, and looks to land pretty basic combos in the pocket. What I noticed with him is like he fights with a lot of confidence that just doesn't reflect his skill set. Like he will taunt his opponents and carry his hands low, but like this guy doesn't really offer much of a threat. He drops his hands as well and lifts his chin high in the pocket, which sees him often getting caught. And I know that you brought to attention that he has a Gracie Barra like tattoo in his chest, but like I don't really see much like good grappling by him. He's lost by sub like 5 times, and overall just has bad process. He's a bad minute winner, and he gets worse and worse as the fight goes on. Um, yeah, I think the difference here is that one guy in Darius Flowers is just straight up shit, and the other guy in Lando Venata is great but has a shit record despite showing great ability. Um, yeah, even though Venata has been inactive for 3 years and hasn't had a win since 2021 and hasn't had an impressive win since 2019, I just don't think Flowers is a difficult matchup. Venata will be dealing with a very limited amount of weapons coming back at him, and for Venata's style of setting up that perfect shot, Flowers offers an opportunity for that shot almost every second of the fight. Like he leans back with his hands low in the boxing range, he bites on feints, his punches are counterable, and he pressures forward, offering minimal threat. Like if Lando shows up rusty and slow, I think he will still find Flowers' chin early and often. Um, Lando can even mix in a takedown here and work towards a sub. Like Flowers does have a tough chin. Like he's only been knocked out once, but he has six losses by sub, all through giving up his neck. And Lando has multiple arm triangle chokes and a rear naked choke on his record. So I just played this Venata by sub at plus 360 only for a half unit.
Very, very nice. I mean, just have a quick look at some prop lines. We've got under 1.5 plus 175, which probably means under 2.5 will be close to plus money, be somewhere there. Bernarda ITDs plus 140. Yeah, I don't have a strong, I don't have much conviction on this one. Like I think Bernarda should wins, but I could see him subbing him. I could see him finishing him early, late. Could see him go on decision. Feels hard to get to anything specific right now.
Yeah.
I think if he misses weight, what do you think? If Flowers comes in right, weighs in, I don't know, 158, 159, something like that, misses by a couple pounds, fight's still on. Who do you feel like that? Do you think that benefits anyone or?
It might benefit Flowers even more. Like Venata isn't the biggest guy, isn't the most
Yeah,
technical, but
yeah, I think
sometimes he puts on his wrestling shoes. Like I can't remember the exact fight, but there was one fight where he just straight up just wrestled.
yeah, it's an interesting one. The matchmaking is just bizarre. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
a strange one. All right, up to men's flyweight, we've got Alessandro Costa taking on Stewie Nickel, Australian prospect, maybe prospect. I don't know. Alessandro Costa minus 400. The comeback on Stewie Nichols plus 330. I think this is a tough one for Stewie Nickel, but how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think Stewie Nickel might be a bit of a busted prospect. Like, yeah, but he like the losses on at UFC level, like Jesus Aguilar, like he just got caught in that sub, um, in that straight into the guillotine, and then his last fight was pretty concerning against Rocha. Didn't
I
really
agree.
offer not only did he not like offer much meaningful offense, but he just did not look good in that fight. So Alessandro Costa, he's not someone I like to back either. Like he's just coming off that round 3 knockout loss to Alden Correa, and he was a pretty substantial favorite there. I bet on Alden Correa in that fight, which was probably my favorite cash of last year. With Costa, he trains with Lopez and Alexa Grasso. I'm not sure if he still does. But yeah, his striking is pretty scrappy, has heavy hands, swings for the fences, throws heavy leg kicks. I find that he's too willing to stand and trade, and like that makes him very hittable as well. And as far as on the ground, he's pretty crafty and opportunistic with his jiu-jitsu. Like from his 6 subs, he has 4 wins by armbar, and he'll definitely leap at a sub attempt when he sees it at the risk of like ending up on a bad position. As for Stewie Nickel, 7 finishes from his 8 wins, 4 by knockout, 3 subs. Like he's a solid grappler, but maybe he's a solid grappler at regional level.
Mm.
Um, like at UFC level, I've not seen anything too good. Like he's too easily taken down and controlled by stronger grapplers. He's already at a physicality disadvantage. It seems like against most of these guys. His striking looks all right, like especially his combos in the pocket. But again, like his striking looks good at regional level. Um, yeah, I find that he's too low volume. He's easily hit and outstruck. And yeah, Lucas Rocha landed him 115 to 45 in significant strikes, um, which is definitely not a good look. I'm going to pick Alessandro Costa to win here. I definitely, this is one of the fights where I definitely didn't do my, definitely didn't do enough tape to have any conviction on either side. I just think Costa probably has the weapons to shut down Nickel, like with the skill set that he's shown so far. So Costa's a pick, but yeah, that's really it for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Costa is I think he's like a pretty volatile type fighter. Like he can look really big hindsight faves, but he can also shit the bed. We've seen him do it before. So yeah, it's a tricky one to get to, especially at flyweight where finishing percentage is a little bit lower and raw power and stuff like that's a little bit on the lower end. In terms of how these guys match up, yeah, I think Stewie Nichols definitely had a physicality advantage straight off the bat, and I think he's at a pure power disadvantage on the feet. I think the question is like, does he come in here with his wrestling shoes on? I think he should. I think he definitely should, because if he goes punch for punch with Costa, he's probably going to lose. The issue is like, right, he just had a matchup against Lucas Rocha, who admittedly, like, he's small, he's not very physical, but he's pretty quick. I'll give him that. Like, he's got some good footwork and stuff. But Lucas Rocha's a guy that, in every fight besides that one, we've seen him get absolutely, wrestle fucked, taken down consistently over and over. And Stewie Nickel didn't have any success there. I think he went like 2 for 10 on takedowns or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you can't take a midget, a midget with no physicality in Rocha, who has made a career off literally getting taken down, I'm not sure you're going to be able to come out here and take Costa down at will. So if he can't get his fight to the ground, I think he's in probably a bit of trouble. But like I said, is Costa a guy you want to trust at these big odds? I don't think he is for me. So it's a pass, but I think Costa probably wins this one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, up the card to the prelim headliner. We've got Guilherme Pat taking on Thomas Jefferson Peterson. I love that. It's still one of the funniest things ever, I reckon. Prices are very close. This is a pick 'em. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, cough. It's -110 pretty much aside here. This one's hilarious, right? When you look at these two right here on the tail of the tape, it's like, you got the big athletic heavyweight in Guilherme Pat, who looks the part but maybe doesn't fight the part. And then you got the big mud guts in Thomas Peterson, who, skill level is on the lower end, but maybe he's got more will to win, or so, a bit more, I don't know, a bit more about him than Guilherme Pat. But like, I don't know. When Pat came in against AJ Fry, I think that was an absolute layup of a fight. Like, we talked about that one. The athleticism difference in that was absolutely crazy. And like, poor AJ Fry, right, comes out of fighting in, fucking high school gyms straight into the UFC, into the Apex, and just wears a beat down. I think, look, the thing for me with Pat, right, is like, he's clearly skilled. He's clearly very, very athletically gifted, especially in heavyweight. He's 6'6". He's shredded. He's fast. He's got every asset that you could probably want at heavyweight. But he just doesn't seem to, like, I don't know, like, step on it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, there's like this weird will to win where he just, like, instead of dominating and really looking good, he just is like happy to compete at times. And it's kind of off-putting, I think. And against a guy in Thomas Peterson who, look, he's been finished a few times in the UFC, but he's kind of up and down. Like, he could have some success. I don't know. I think Guilherme Pat kind of has to be the play here off upside alone. I think he's way more athletic. I think for as long as this is on the feet, it's, you would think the size and the reach disadvantage for Pat should be able to keep him on the outside. If Peterson shoots for takedowns, he should be able to negate, or, spend some time maybe against the cage and then work out and something like that. He should have every athletic advantage in the book here. It comes down to his will to win, which again, I think is a little bit questionable at times, but I think at -110, he kind of has to be the side for me. I think, but yeah, I think this is a tricky fight. Like, everything says to me that Pat should win, but I just don't trust this guy. I don't trust him at all. I think there's a big fade on him coming in the future. It's probably not against Thomas Peterson, but I think down the track we will get him at we'll get a fade on him at a really good price, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I personally played Guilherme Pat here at -110.
Yeah.
Well, he's a tall and measured striker, and I think where you said that he doesn't really get after it, I think that's the Taekwondo in him. Like, you watch some Taekwondo fights, it's really just they're just trying to get points. He stands very sideways, karate stance. Like, at times, he's fast with his punches and kicks, and he's one of the more technical heavyweights. But he's only really fought like shit opponents, and he isn't really running through these shit opponents like the way that you think he would. Thomas Jefferson, he's 2-3 in his last 5, coming off that knockout loss to Petrino. He's a southpaw, but his game is to just close the distance, wear on his opponents through pressure in the clinch. look to level change, get the takedown, and once he has opponents on the ground, he'll look to establish top control and work on top. Overall, I just like he's just not a good fighter, but could he beat a Guilherme Pat? Potentially. Like Pat on paper should be able to beat someone as limited as Thomas Peterson. Like at least with Pat, you see process in his movements. He's athletic. He's technical, but he's just he. I don't know if he's the guy that you can trust to take advantage of the fact that he has a fat and slow heavyweight in front of him. He can make this look really easy if he
Yeah.
really like he has the style to piece him up. That's for sure, and that's why I have money on him. But um, yeah, he's not. He's probably cut from the same sort of cloth. Like if you were to look at like technical prowess as like maybe a Cyril Gahn maybe, but there's at least with Cyril Gahn you can trust him more to get after it if he has him hurt. While with Guilherme Pat, I'm pretty sure he's gonna have like Thomas Peterson hurt, but then just continue to circle around the outside, which is gonna be frustrating since I'll have a ticket on him. But yeah, like this is a fight where it's hard to have like too much conviction, but I think after the fight is done, we're going to look at. There's a chance that we could look at this -110 line and see a lot of value in it
I think
because
so.
of like it could be like a dominant 30-27 if this guy shows up, or he could even find a finish early. So yeah, that's the reason why I played it. Like it could be a fight where, oh, in hindsight, that -110 was a steal. So that's why I played it.
Yeah, I think he could look like -300 in hindsight. Like if he stepped on the gas, came out, attacked body and head, legs even, and just put it on. Like the volume is not even close. The power's not close. The speed's not close.
Mm.
Only way Thomas Peterson wins this is if Pat lets him get in close, wear on him, put him on his back, and fucking lay on him. Which again, maybe it's a path to victory, but I don't think it's a big one. So let's see what Pat's got for us. I think we'll learn a lot about him this weekend.
For sure.
Let's hope he's not a fraud.
Yeah.
All right, up the card to men's featherweight, kicking off the main card here. This is probably the fight that I had the most fun watching
Oh,
tape on and breaking
so
down,
much
in
fun.
my opinion. These two are fun, man. These two are fun, and yeah, they're different types of fighters, they're different skill levels, I would say, but they both put on really fun fights, and I think this is going to be another one. Prices, we've got José Delano, big favorite, -350 around that. The comeback on Robert Ruchała, it's +285, 295, someone there. You kick us off here, man. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this is going to be very fun. Jose Delano, um, featherweight champ in LFA's had five. He has had 5 round experience. He's on a 4 fight win streak with his last loss against Gabriel Santos, which is not a bad loss at all. One contract beating Manuel Esposito. Delano, he's a dynamic and technical fighter. Like he implements constant movement around the cage. He's always switching stances, puts out non-stop volume, lands fast, accurate combos, then gets back to space. If he's not on the front foot attacking, he's on the back foot ready to counter. He's also a pretty good anti-grappler. He does get hit a fair bit, but he answers back right away. And yeah, he's got proven cardio for 3 rounds and 5 rounds. Robert Ruchała, he's the KSW featherweight champ. He is 0-1 in UFC, but he had a very tough outing um, with his first fight against William Gomez. This guy's an awkward kickboxer, bouncy on his feet, plenty of leg kicks, and then lunges in with with hard punches. He is pretty hittable and easily caught when on the back foot, but can be such a wild card. Like he'll do random spinning attacks and like land some wild shots. He's a high level grappler, well timed takedowns, can catch kicks and attack a single leg or quickly change levels and drive opponents to the mats. He's very physical, strong, and dominant once on top. I think this is going to be a. I think the line might be a bit wide, but I do like Delano here. Like the thing is with him, he takes a bit more punches than that I'm comfortable with. Like his striking and output though is definitely. I feel like it's going to overwhelm Ruchała, who, other than being awkward and able to attempt wild attacks, he really doesn't have a wide arsenal of weapons. Like he only really has leg kicks, wide boxing combos coming forward, and the threat of changing levels and attacking a takedown. And I think Delano has shown good takedown defense and sprawling ability on the feet for every 1 or 2 punches Ruchała lands, and I think he will land. I don't think Delano will get put off his game. Like, he'll just get back to his footwork and then get back to range and then look to double or triple the numbers on significant strikes. I find Ruchała is very counterable as well as he comes forward, and I don't think he fights as well on the back foot too. While Delano works just as well when he's pressuring or setting up counters.
Yeah.
I don't have a um, I've not parlayed Delano here because I have a feeling this is going to play out closer than the line suggests. I do have written down that I might play Delano like a round three or decision line. I did parlay fight goes over 2.5 rounds, which is at minus 140. Parlayed that with another fight later on unders, which I think is one of the next few fights. But yeah, this is going to be a fun fight. Yeah, I think Delano should have the weapons to win this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing. I've watched a bit of tape already on Delano coming into Contender Series, but I enjoyed going back and watching a bit more of him. I'll start with Ruchała. Like he's a very awkward dude. Like has a heavy leg style in terms of like not being super footwork oriented or particularly fast, but he's clearly scrappy on the feet. Got a kickboxing style where he throws like a lot of teeps. A lot of mainly kicking output, and if he does throw the hands, it's mainly looping boxing shots, single or two at a time, not really like big combinations or anything like that. And I think he can overextend on his shots at times. He was a KSW champion, defended it a couple of times, and I think KSW is a pretty good promotion. So that's a tick for me. I think he is clearly a good fighter overall and not a bum. His grappling is solid, both offensively and defensively. I think he has a really good ability to be able to scramble and pass guard while looking for ground and pound. He's very effective on the mat. Um, I'll say he does have great control once on the mat. Like he rides position really well and he can rack up control time pretty easily. I'd say his main weakness is that in terms of his takedowns, like they're mainly from a body lock style. If there's lots of clinching, he could look good, but he doesn't like shoot a single or a double or anything like that. So his ability to get the fight to the mat is a little bit limited. I'll say this: he doesn't check leg kicks at all very well. If you can get him on the back foot, I think you're going to be able to land him often and unchecked. I will say he does have good cardio, and I don't think he'll gas out often. He's been proven later in fights, like he won round 3 against Gomis, and he's fought to round 4 and round 5 in KSW a couple of times. So, in terms of fighting late, if this is a grueling fight, I think he's got a tick there for me, in my opinion. On Delano, this guy is pretty impressive, man. I think he's a really good striker. I really like his movement. He's got very good eyes, and I'd say he's technically a very functional like kickboxer. I really like his boxing combinations against cage. He's clearly going to be the fastest striker here, and he also throws straight instead of loop. So I think he's going to beat Ruchała to the punch quite a lot. One thing I noticed that he throws very, very often, I think could have a lot of success here, is the knee up the middle. He really looks for that timing that knee up the middle, and I think if Ruchała blitzes in, which he does a lot, I think if he blitzes in, I could see this hurting him, whether it lands to the body or straight to the head and puts him down. I thought the one thing I will question with Delano, I thought his grappling versus Exposito was a little questionable. We haven't really seen enough to make me super confident that if Ruchała does get him on his back, how he will look. I'm not 100%. So I think I'm a little bit worried there, but I think overall, like if on the feet, I think Delano is going to look pretty good. Ruchała is hittable, but he's proven durable. But I do think if Delano can rack up some offense, I do think there is a potential to KO him on the feet just to through boxing combinations, through countering him, and through being the more powerful and more voluminous guy on the feet. Like I said, my main concern is that Ruchała can push a pace, clinch push, and get takedowns for control times. And I definitely think there's an angle there. I think Delano is going to need to prove some things to me before I pay like a big price like this. Despite I think he's clearly the better fighter. So despite being the clearly more skilled striker, I do want to see how he fares against like a grappling heavy game plan. So the pick is Delano, but I think to get like I gave him maybe 65 to 70%. So I think maybe the odds are a little bit wide. But I think he should win, and I do think he's a very promising prospect. Like the way he strikes, he's very intelligent, has very good eyes. So I could see him making a good run in the UFC.
Completely agree.
Love that. All right, up the card to this one's a funny one. Tommy McMillen. men's featherweight. Tommy McMillen taking
Tell me what
on.
these odds are.
Yeah, you're gonna love this. Manolo Zecchini. Prices, we have Tommy McMillen minus 1,400. They come back on Manolo Zecchini's plus 800.
Oh, is this the worst minus 1,400 that
I
we'd
mean,
ever?
you could make the argument. You can absolutely make the argument. I think, look, what can you say about this? What really can you say about this fight? I didn't even know Zecchini was still in the UFC. Like, he's not good. He's not good, man. And McMillen, I think what I will say about McMillen, right, is I thought he was fairly impressive on contender, like in terms of the competition he fought. I think he was a pretty good fighter, to be honest. Magoyan's not bad. He's probably better than Zecchini, to be honest. Um, so he gets a step down in competition. He's proved that he can fight, these dogfight, grueling type of fights. But minus 1,400 in UFC debut is absolutely insane. Regardless, I think he comes out here. I think he probably submits Zecchini, to be honest. I think he gets the fight to the ground. I think he submits him. If he doesn't, he could TKO him on the feet. I think he could win any single way. Zecchini has some power in his hands, but McMillan's proved a durable dude, so I don't really know how Zecchini wins this fight at all. So I think the price is wide, and there's no chance I'm playing this Nuffy on UFC debut, but he should win.
Yeah, McMillan being this much of a favorite surely is like not a reflection of his own skill set, more a reflection on the guy on the other side. Um, yeah, I watched Zecchini's fights in regionals, and he did not look impressive at all. And I watched his fight against Morgan Charrier, and this guy, like, you see him moving around, and he looks like a technical kickboxer, but then for some reason he still just can't, like, he just can't avoid getting hit by like jabs. Um, and he's just so easily hit. Like, he has his hands low, he leans back, and he's chinny. And not only is he chinny, he crumbles the body shots too. And he's only fought low level competition in the Italian MMA scene, which, like, I don't think there's any like too much respectable things coming out from the Italian MMA scene other than Marvin Vittori, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, McMillan, I'd say he's a technical brawler, like with a very strong wrestling base. I think if he was just a pure wrestler and he came in just to purely wrestle, he could just dominate guys. But I think there's something about him that just wants to entertain and fight in firefights, which that'll do good for his brand, especially since he's trying to be like another version of Sugar Sean O'Malley.
yeah,
Um, how I see this, all of McMillan's finishes are in round one, most of them under 2 minutes, and Zecchini has been finished three times, with two of them in round one. Um, McMillan in round one is plus 125. I would happily play that for like a unit. If he's really a minus 1,400 favorite, that should hit. So, yeah.
yeah. I agree. You're getting even under 1.5 is like minus 130. I get it's not plus money, so maybe it's not super intriguing. Maybe minus 150, but it's kind of, I guess you give yourself 7.5 minutes to cash that favorite slip. Maybe it's a little bit gross, but
Yeah.
McMillan by submission minus 140. I think he could look pretty big, but I don't like playing those props without plus money generally. You know that
Yeah. And man, it could end up being a knockout too. He
could
throws heavy
easily,
leather.
yeah, it could easily be a knockout. Yeah, it's a pretty. I don't know how you get to play anything here really.
Yeah.
Um,
Round one plus 125. I'm happy with that.
I kind of hope he gets a big round one finish, to be honest, and then comes in again minus 800 against someone who's half decent, and maybe we get a nice fade on him. So
Yeah.
that's
What weight
best.
is this?
Featherweight.
Featherweight. Who's a featherweight? He'll probably be like a minus like 1,000 against like I don't know if he's a featherweight, but like a guy like Kevin Borjas or something.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
a
that's
name like
yes.
that.
Someone like that at like a heavier weight class. Yeah, it's not a bad call.
Hmm.
All right, up the card to men's bantamweight. I think this is an intriguing spot. For both parties. I think you can make a pretty good argument here. We've got Ewing taking on Rafael Estevam. Obviously, Estevam moving up to bantamweight after missing weight at flyweight a couple of times. And we get Ewing after a really solid short notice debut against Malcolm Wellmaker, where he won as a big dog. So, how do you feel? So, I'd say prices are minus 145 for Ewing. The comeback on Estevam minus plus 125. How do you feel about this one, given that most of the time we see Estevam at pretty firm price tags, and now he's an underdog?
Yeah, I hate Rafael Estevam. I've faded him every single fight, and like I've faded him with Felipe Bunez, which Bunez is my boy. I've faded him with Jesus Aguilar, and I even faded him with Charles Johnson. And do you remember round three against Charles Johnson?
I certainly do.
Estevam was fucking like
Bad.
shooting for the legs. He was gassed, and ever since that, like I've just not liked him. And he doesn't make weight. He's a weight bully, and now he's coming up in weight against Ethan Ewing, who is like he's still got a fair bit to go. Like he did impress me with that short notice win as a plus 330 underdog against Malcolm Wellmaker. But yeah, I favor Ewing here for a few reasons. Not just because I hate Estevan, but um, Estevan may not have the same grappling success upper weight class. Like Ewing has a very solid frame. He has a wider build compared to the flyweights Estevan's been beating and struggling to take down along the stretch. He may get a lot of control time at the end of it, but he has to attempt a lot of takedowns against these guys. And if he's constantly being denied by Ewing and forced to stand with him, like if it's a stand up fight, Ewing has got the style to definitely land some damage on him. Um, Ewing is explosive and fast twitch. I can see him being quick to disengage from the clinch, stuff takedowns, and throw attempts, and then just get back to his striking. And yeah, for every second they're striking, it's going to heavily favor Ewing. Like Estevan mainly throws kicks with little intent but to occupy and tag opponents until he shoots, while Ewing strikes with intent to hurt, and he's great at setting up extended combos and finding counters. I love that he stays in that in the red zone and just keeps on. He has like second and third phases of attacks. As for Estevam's cardio issues, maybe the move up will help, but he will be grappling a physically bigger man. Like I feel like in terms of physicality, there's a big jump between flyweight guys and bantamweight, and I actually think he may even gas out much the same, maybe even quicker if he's getting denied by Ethan Ewing here. Um, we've seen Ethan Ewing fight at a good 15-minute pace too, on short notice as well, and able to recover and push through adversity. If Estevam gets the fight to the ground, then yeah, there's a good chance he could just stay there for the remainder of rounds, and he can just get a takedown around to secure the fight as he usually does. But as I said earlier, I'm unsure of I am unsure of Ewing's takedown defense, and what's worrying is that Ewing decided to play jiu-jitsu off his back to escape against Billy Brand. Something, if he tries to do that, I don't think he's going to get away with against Estevan. But despite this, in a fight lined as a pick and roll, at least when I take the fight, I'll take the natural bantamweight with 3 round cardio, the heavy striking and finishing upside, and who only has to address his defensive grappling against a flyweight that's moving up, who's had a history of cardio issues, who's completely grapple or bust, and will no doubt be teed up on if this fight spends enough time striking. So I'm glad I got Ewing at minus 110 here. I believe he's going up to, what was it, minus 130 now?
45.
Minus 145. So yeah, Ethan Ewing at minus 110. I wish I got in on him when he was a dog at like plus 100 just the other day. But yeah, I think he's the side here.
Yeah, this is one I find really interesting, and for a few reasons, right? Like, we can start with Ewing. I think you can't deny super impressive versus Worldmaker. Like, he was super outmatched in terms of raw power and genuine athleticism, but he dogged it out in the pocket with a bigger puncher. He took his biggest shots and hurt him as well. So I was really impressed there. Obviously on short notice too. He's got great boxing combos, good 1-2, good ability to slip and counter shots. I'd say he's relatively safe defensively. Like, he always has those hands high, and he's a good watch like that. I think he's intelligent and a pretty multifaceted boxer. He can set traps and capitalize on his setups, which I think is typically rare. Like, I talk about this shit all the time with using feints to actually set things up instead of just feinting. He is a genuine striker that sets those feints up and capitalizes on the trap. So I think he's a really solid competitor. My main issue here, right, is that he's come in against Malcolm Wellmaker, and he's plus 330, somewhere around there. I get it, short notice. Wellmaker had a lot of hype. But this is a spot where I genuinely I generally don't like to get involved. Like, I think this is probably an overcorrection. Like, you get a guy who comes
For
in short
sure.
notice, looks great, massive underdog price. The public watches that and goes, "Wow, that's he looks great. He's a great fighter," and I agree with that. But it all comes down to the price, and now I see him at a firm favourite price tag against a guy who's 14-0, has, in my opinion, potential big grappling upside. But the issue is, right, round three. I think you have to give Ewing round three. I think you probably can argue round one for Estevam. I think you can make an argument for round one for Estevam off just being, you know, I, I think I still think he's going to be more physical. To be honest, I know you mentioned natural bantamweights and stuff like that. I think Estevam is a natural bantamweight. I think he was just cutting, down to flyweight and trying to have that size advantage. But I think he'll probably fit in against these bantamweights relatively fine. But the point you made about gassing out at bantamweight could definitely have some merit. Like, he's going to be carrying more weight, and fighting bigger guys. So there is the potential that he's still going to slow down just as bad. I think that's definitely live here. So I'm pretty comfortable giving round three to Ewing. So I kind of get the favourite price tag. But again, on the other hand, you've got a guy who's 14-0. We haven't seen much of Ewing's grappling. He could look, potential hindsight fave, winning round one and round two and surviving round three like he typically has done against. I think fighters you can make a good argument against, like Charles Johnson is good. Jesus Aguilar's had some success in the UFC, maybe not as much Felipe Bunes, but I don't know. I see a guy who's 14-0. He's plus money here, and usually like he's a fucking big favorite as well. What was he? Minus 700 against Felipe Bunes, minus 480 against Jesus Aguilar, close against Charles Johnson, but I don't know. I think this is one where there could have been a market overcorrection after a really solid short notice performance for Ewing. So, while I think Ewing is the goods, and I think he definitely wins round three here, I'm hesitant at the price tag, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Do you think that's crazy?
Oh, yeah, the market overcorrect. There's definitely recency bias that's in this line. I would not play him now at like minus 145. I'll say that.
Yeah, like I really like him as a striker. I think as long as this is on the feet, it's probably his fight to lose. But I don't know, man. I could see Estevam coming out, getting his hands on him at some point, getting him down to the ground. The only issue with Estevam as well that I think is like submission wise, he's probably less of a submission grappler than he is like a ground and pound sort of win minute control grappler. So yeah, I don't think he's going to finish Ethyn Ewing, which makes me less, want to jump on the plus 120. But I don't know, man. The price is really intriguing.
For sure.
It's really intriguing. So we'll see how that one ends up. Let's go to the feature fight of the night. I'm sure this will be a pretty quick one for both of us.
Yakhyaev, round one.
Light heavyweight. We've got Abdul, Rakhman, Yakhyaev taking on Brendson, Ribeiro. Prices is minus 2,000 for Yakhyaev. The comeback on Brendson Ribeiro is like plus 1,000. What can you say? What can you say about this one? It's like Yakhyaev probably should finish this guy by TKO as quick as he wants. I think the only reason Brendson Ribeiro people are like intrigued by him is probably because who shit the bed? Fucking DR.
Nogazay.
Nurgazay just shit the bed against him and actually made him look like fairly competitive. But the only guys he's beat in the UFC is Caio Machado and DR Nurgazay, and I don't think either of them are in the UFC anymore. Or if they are, they're not having much success. So I don't think this guy's good. I think he's hittable. Yeah, he's big and he's long, but I don't know. I think Yakhyaev is that good of a striker. He probably just comes out here, hurts him to the body, finishes him to the head as quick as he wants. So yeah, it should be a round one finish.
Yeah, sub 1 minute.
I like that.
Like it's a minus 2,000 favorite. Like this is, and I think he covers that line.
What can you say? All right, women's strawweight. We've got Virna, Jandiroba, friend of the pod, favour of the podcast, I'd say, taking on Tabatha, Ricci, Baby Shark. Tabatha Ricci is a girl I've loved to have faded, and Jandiroba is typically a girl I've liked to back. So this is an interesting spot for me. We've got Jandiroba minus 125, the comeback on Tabatha Ricci's plus 105. There's been a bit of movement in price up and down all week. I'd say it's roughly a pick 'em for this fight. Like most people have got in on either side, so I think it's pretty close. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, like you said, like Jandiroba is someone that I usually take, and Tabatha Ricci is someone that I've faded. And As of recently, it's not been going well for me. With those tactics. I did take Ricci to beat Amanda Ribas, which was a great win. Ribas is absolutely washed at this stage of her career.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Jandiroba, 8-4 in the UFC, coming off a title shot loss to Mackenzie Dern, where she made some pretty stupid mistakes, and her career has just been full of like poor IQ and decision making. Um, that which has led to like some specific losses. But yeah, she's a high level grappler, one of the best grapplers in the division. Jiu-jitsu black belt, judo background. Her style is to come forward, pressure, grab a hold of her opponent, take them to the mat, and dominate. Her takedown ability is pretty good. She's one of the more physically imposing girls in the division. She does have 14 subs to her name, but she'll be happy to just garner some control time, win fights like that. Her striking is a bit awkward, does throw with a lot of volume. She is active, but overall very unpolished in her execution. She's quite hittable, but she's tough. Tabatha Ricci, she's 7-3 in the UFC. She too comes from a judo and jiu-jitsu background, not quite as high level, but she has grown very comfortable with her striking, which her striking too is very unpolished. But yeah, Ricci, she's a pocket rocket, explosive in her movements, brings a lot of physicality and maintains a high pace through 15 minutes. And her game is just to overwhelm opponents by pressing forward, crashing into the pocket with flurries of strikes, changing levels to get takedowns, or wearing on girls against defense, which her work against defense, I think that's where she thrives in. Like she has great head positioning in the clinch, throws constant punches and elbows to the head, and she'll continuously wear on her opponents by attempting multiple takedowns and throws. This is a tough fight to call, which the line has been going back and forth, and that doesn't really surprise me. There's arguments and clear paths for both girls winning the fight. Um, Personally, I tend to fade girls coming off title shot losses. Like it's definitely not a winning formula by any means, but I think it's worked often enough for me. But like outside of that, as it is, um, as we both said, Ricci is someone that we both like tend to fade, and Virna is someone that we like to back. But into this fight, like judges already have a bias towards Tabatha Ricci. I've seen her win some fights she should have probably lost, and I think after her dominant loss to Yan Xiaonan, she's definitely making strides in her conditioning. Like I can't attest to if she's actually improving her skills, though she looks great against Rebus. But I think she has the pace, cardio, striking, and clinch work upside here. Um, Virna is the more dominant wrestler, but I think due to Ricci having a lower center of gravity, being faster, explosive, strong and close, and already being hard to take down, I think she has good takedown defense. I think Virna will struggle to get her takedowns, and if she does, if she does get her down, I think she's gonna find it hard to keep her there. Damage and activity nowadays too are more attractive to the judges' eyes than control time on the mats. Like I can see like Ricci giving up a takedown, giving up maybe 2 minutes, and then being able to get back up and just rally back. Like she knows how to rally back to snatch back rounds. While on the other side, we've seen Virna time and time again make stupid in-fight decisions or not being able to stay sharp and put a stamp on rounds. As for striking, I think Ricci's explosive flurries and volume punching will look to be more effective than Verna's. Like the optics too for when Virna gets hit is a bit animated. Like she gets hit whenever she gets hit clean, like her head wobbles and she has to like reset. While when Ricci like she like tends to eat shots and just keeps coming forward and like initiates the clinch right away. And I think a lot of this fight happens in a clinch, and I favor that for Ricci, who will keep her head glued to Verna's chest and just land like rabbit punches over and over. So I do think this is going to be a 28-27 fight either way. Plus money for either side is a good bet. I just played Ricci at plus 135 decision. I think this fight is going to go to distance. I think it's probably going to be a split decision. And if we go on split decision, I think judges are going to be more inclined to give it to Ricci.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to play this fight. I'll be honest, I don't have a strong read on this one. I think it looks thin margins either way you do it. I can't see a finish on either side. If anything, it's probably a Jandiroba sub somehow, but I tend to think it's a low outcome.
Yeah.
And if there's no finish, I think this is pretty competitive. I think it's legit a 50-50 fight. So I don't think there's much value on either side. I'm not rushing to get involved. I don't have a strong read. I think Jandiroba probably like the more physical girl. And typically when you see a decent looking girl versus a dude looking girl, I usually like to go the dude looking girl.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. I think skill wise it's pretty close. I probably favour Ricci in the striking slightly, and I probably favour Jandiroba in the grappling slightly. So I don't know, man. I just think it all balances out. I don't think there's a huge amount of value on either side in what's probably a competitive 29-28 decision. I agree with you there. So yeah, I think if you play Tabatha Ricci by decision at plus 130, it's probably a pretty good play. But I have nothing on this fight, and I don't really know how to play it. Like all the overs are juiced, all the fight goes to the decision, to the distance is juiced. I can't see a finish, so yeah, I think this is just a complete pass fight for me. Like I actually agree with you with coming off title fights and losing and stuff like that. It's usually a bit of a warning sign, but I don't know, man. I've never really rated Ricci a whole lot either,
No.
so I'm not really sure. I think Jandiroba is probably the hardest girl she's fought in a while. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong read on this one. I'm happy to pass.
Yeah, I'll just say if this is a very close fight and it's going to a split decision, I'll just be like, even if Virna will like clearly secure rounds, I'll just be surprised if Virna gets the split decision like over
Yeah,
Ricci, like I've seen her like lose clearly to Tisha Pennington. I
yeah.
think
She's.
Tisha Pennington had a very clear win that she won by split decision.
I think Richie's got a bit of the key halls about her. Like she does the usus and the kia, like where they
Yeah, I
throw
know.
their punches and shit. I think maybe that's the difference. Like I don't know, she does that a lot, so maybe it edges it out, or maybe it's just because she's
Yeah,
like decent
yeah.
looking as a fat ass. I don't know.
There's that. You have to look at the little things like Verna, like her head wobbles and her hair like kind of
And
like
she's got eyes going both ways.
yeah. And when she gets hit, she kind of like just resets, which is not really like the best look.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm not rushing to get involved, but yeah, women's strawweight. What can you say? All right, up to men's lightweight, the headlining fight, the main event of this card, and it seems like Chris Duncan is a public favourite, very public favourite this week. So we'll see how that works out for him. But yeah, we got Renato Money Moicano taking on Chris Duncan prices. We've got Chris Duncan minus 170, the comeback on Moicano plus 145. I think this is an intriguing fight. Like, we've got both guys training at ATT. They clearly know each other. I've seen a couple of shows where people say they haven't trained together. That's absolute horseshit. They definitely have trained together. Maybe not main training partners for a little while, but they are most definitely trained together. And I actually saw an interview with Chris Duncan where he said that Moicano is like one of the only guys he's never subbed in the gym. So I think that's an interesting talking point because if he can't sub him in the gym, I tend to think he doesn't sub him in this fight unless he hurts him really badly and capitalizes somehow. So I think you can almost knock that off the board immediately for Duncan. So you've got him at TKO or decision. Not to say he can't win by sub, but I think
Yeah,
Moicano will have to be very compromised to win by sub. In terms of career trajectory, like, does Duncan have a bit more to give? Probably, but this is a guy who gets in wars every single fight and he's losing until he's not. And I get it. Moicano's in his last couple of fights, he's slowed down late 2-3 and hasn't looked ideal. And obviously the chin's gone and stuff like that. But this guy's an immense grappler, man. He's very, very good at body lock takedowns. Like I'd argue he's like almost a top 5, top 10 guy at like body lock takedowns in the UFC. If he gets his hands locked around your hips, you're going to your back. He is superb there. And the way that he can get top position or take the back and control, it's super impressive. Like we saw it against BSD, right? He gave him no chance in that fight. He gave him absolutely no chance. He got the body lock. He got on top. He smashed him with ground and pound. And he won that fight really convincingly. And we've seen Duncan get grapple fucked before by worse guys. Like Manuel Torres came out and absolutely dominated him and subbed him. And like, I don't think Manuel Torres is near the grappler of Moicano. Yeah, he's more physical and he's more fast and more powerful, but he's not the grappler that Moicano is. And I get it. Duncan should win this fight, like off career trajectory and the fact that he can take damage at this point and Moicano can't. Like, But if you're playing minus 170 on Duncan, I don't fucking understand that at all. This guy, this is the hardest, best fighter he's ever fought, and he's now one of the biggest price tags we've ever seen him. Inarguably the hardest fight, and he's going to lose round one, in my opinion. I think he loses round one at a pretty high clip here. So I don't know, man. Minus 170 on Duncan. I'm not rushing to play that at all. I think that's a pretty horrid price. And I think if you want to play Duncan, sit round one out and get in live after round one. You'll probably get plus money. So yeah, look, it's an interesting fight because everyone seems to be writing Moicano off, and is he done? Potentially, he seems to have some other things going and stuff like that. But in terms of the matchup, I think he's a more than a good enough grappler to win, round one and round two in this fight. The issue is, can he get him out of there early, or can he survive? And I probably tend to think he can't survive 3-4-5 with a guy like Duncan. But minus 170 on Duncan, I think that's an awful price tag.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and although I do still pick Duncan, like
Yeah,
I just don't like he's a guy that's losing until he wins, and Moicano, he can get you out of there like in like round like if I was to play Moicano, I'd just play like a round one or round two prop, because if this goes deep, then I can see him like just absolutely gassing. Like he didn't look great against Dariush, like
yeah,
he looked stuck in the mud after that round one, and he didn't really show any resolve on the ground. Like I can't, and for that, like I can't really pick outright against Duncan, who he's definitely on an upwards trajectory. He's he's beating guys that are beating him like until like who are having their way with him, but like Terrence McKinney, he's a very explosive guy. Balaji Oki is a very explosive guy. Um, I'm missing Mateusz Rombeski. He's a um,
yeah.
very
Same as
tenacious.
Torres.
Yeah, he's a very tenacious guy, and Duncan was able to pass the test there. Here, I think like outside of Moicano sticking to him like glue and having his way early, I think if this goes past like the 7 minute mark, then Duncan should start like rolling ahead of here. So, which is why like Duncan as a live betting spot could probably be a better bet.
Way
Um,
better.
way better bet. I actually just decided to do like a little just a little sprinkle on Duncan by sub. I know he said in the interview that Moicano was the only person in the gym he couldn't submit, and I think Duncan by sub at plus 900, just a little like a little yeah, a little bet on that. Like I can see Moicano like being death gas like maybe in the third or fourth,
Mm.
and doing what he did against Brian Ortega, like going for like a takedown and having his neck snatched. And like Duncan, he has a very fucking like like hard guillotine
Yeah,
that
he does.
and that win against I can't remember what his name is, the guy who Jordan Vicenich. Like Vicenich is not ain't no slouch, and
He's
he's
a
a
good grappler.
pretty good grappler, and yeah, he made Duncan, like Duncan made him tap very quickly. So yeah, my only action in this fight is Duncan sub at plus 900, only for like a quarter unit. Minus 170 on Duncan is not really appealing, like you said, or anything like around like that much. Like it should be like I feel like it's weird. I feel like it's the right price, but also the wrong price. Like seeing how Moicano, like his career trajectory right now is, like he's definitely a guy that can afford to lose.
Now,
But yeah, I would not be surprised if Moicano just pulled a round one sub or a round one TKO out of the bag here. So
I
yeah,
wouldn't either.
Duncan's my pick. But yeah,
I think we can say this with certainty. Like I think BSD is a what's the right word? Like I think he's a better fighter than Chris Duncan, to be honest. And I think he's he's probably a better grappler than Duncan. And Moicano absolutely dicked him. So like I get it, the Dariush fight didn't look good, but Dariush has been a great, like he's made a career off being a legit counter wrestler and negating takedowns and then working his own scramble game into fights. So I get it, and they both hurt each other. Look, it is what it is, but I think I want to try and find some round props because I think Duncan 345 is a very good bet, to be honest.
hmm
Um, if you like submission, you can get on just looking on sports bets. Chris Duncan to win by a sub in rounds 3, 4, 5 is 23 to 1. I think that's a decent angle. I
hmm
think let's have a look what TKO is. TKO 345 is it's ugly. That's $5.60 for 345 by TKO. It's not super intriguing, but I think there's a world in which Moicano lands damage on this guy from top position with elbows early. We saw him do it to BSD. I think he could do it again here. It's an interesting fight. I think, to be honest, best case scenario for you and me is Duncan comes out here, rolls him, and then we get Duncan at like minus 250 in his next fight. And I don't think this guy's long for the top 15 in the UFC. I think I'd back him. I'd back against him against a lot of guys in the top, probably almost everyone in the top 15. I'd back against Chris Duncan. So maybe this will set up a nice fade spot in the future against Duncan. But
I've already tried fading him so many times.
He's not. You got to agree with me though. He's not long for the top 50. The way this guy fights, he just cannot keep pulling these out of his ass, right?
Oh, absolutely. I honestly think if he fights Manuel Torres again, the same thing's gonna happen.
I still, I mean, look, you got to give credit to him, right? He's a fucking fun fighter, and he's an absolute dog in there. Like, do you remember Charlie Campbell on Contender Series? Bro, if I had a Campbell, if I was holding a Campbell TKO ticket, I think I would have legit be hanging from my fan right now. Like, that would have been the worst loss to cop of all time, I think.
Absolutely.
Just brutal. But, I mean, gun to my head, I have to pick Duncan 345. But I don't know, man. I think people are disrespecting Moicano a little bit in the grappling here.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, in 2026, these underdogs in main events have just been coming through.
100% they have been so far. All right, let's go bottom to top final picks, and we'll jump out of here. We'll skip that one. Diony Barbosa, Melissa Gatto.
Barbosa.
Yeah, I'll probably go Barbosa slightly. Azamat Bakoyev, Tresean Gore. Bakoyev for me too. Alice Pereira, Haley Cowan.
Alice Pereira, baby. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Haley Cowan. Not a strong one on that. Lando Venata, Darius Flowers.
Lando Venata.
Yeah, Venata for me too. Alessandro Costa, Stewie Nickel.
Probably Alessandro Costa.
Yeah, I think Alessandro Costa probably wins, but I think it's a gross price. Guillermo Pat, Tom Jefferson.
Guillermo Pat.
Yeah, Pat for me as well. Who called him Thomas Jefferson? Was it Brandon? Was it? It might have been Bisping.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's funny. José Delano, Robert Ruchała.
José Delano.
José Delano for me too. Tommy McMillen, Manolo Zecchini.
McMillen.
Yeah, McMillen with the mushroom top. Ethyn Ewing, Rafael Estevam.
Ethyn Ewing for me.
Yeah, I think Ethyn Ewing probably wins, but I'm kind of intrigued on the Estevam price here. Yakhyaev, Brendson, Ribeiro.
Yakhyaev.
Yeah, Yakhyaev for me too. Virna, Jandiroba, Tabatha, Ricci.
Tabatha, Ricci.
I'll go Virna, but yeah, I think it's a 50-50 fight. Renato, Moicano, and Chris Duncan.
Chris Duncan.
Yeah, I think Chris Duncan probably finishes him 3-4-5, but I think Moicano's a very good price early. So play Duncan live. Mm-hmm. Pre Moicano, Duncan live. I like that.
Yeah.
Who did you say you had the parlay with the unders later? You had a later fight in it.
Which one was it? So yeah, I did Ruchała Delano over 2.5, parlayed with Yakhyaev Ribeiro. Fight does not start round 3, and got that at plus 100.
Yeah, nice. I've had a feeling it was that fight, but I think you might not have mentioned it. So sounds good there. Is there anything you want to sign off with, my friend?
Nah, man. We're both under the weather.
Yeah. It's been
we're still making money.
It's been a low energy potty this week, but hey, all we do is turn up and we keep going, my friend. I think we have the pay-per-view next weekend.
Yeah,
UFC 327, which looks on paper like easily the best card we've had all year. So really looking forward to that one. That'll be a longer one next week. So yeah, we'll be back for that one same time next week. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your mates. Please sub to the channel, and it helps us a lot growing in the future. So really appreciate that. And we've seen some pretty good growth on the channel overall with, some of the NRL and some other stuff we've been doing. So
Sure.
it's been good. Let's keep growing the channel and the output. So yeah, all the likes and the comments and the subs always help. If you want to follow Ryan on Twitter, it's at Desperate Times with a Z1. He puts all his picks out there for free with breakdowns, and he's building his own community there, which is going well. So you can make sure you follow him there and stay up to date with his post. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Provide Picks or at Dribble Sport on YouTube, whatever you prefer. NRL is in full swing at the moment, going okay. We haven't been having huge weeks, but I think we're due for a breakout week in the next probably 1 to 3 weeks. So I'm feeling pretty confident this week. Yeah, if you want to join the Discord, you can do that as well. But other than that, it's been another episode of the Wager Wise MMA podcast, episode 54, I think.
4, yeah.
Episode 54. So we're getting deep into the thing now. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll leave it there. Thanks.